What's up guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to show you how to build some basic small grid ships on Space Engineers. So first, I'm going to do this in space because it's just an easy start. So first you want to build a skeleton of the ship, so just all the functioning components. So I usually just put the cockpit first. And I'm going to be using the fighter cockpits. Then I usually just place down an oxygen generator onto the back. And then I just grab a conveyor converter. And then place it so that the little small back ports just go onto the small ports of the O2 generator. And then I just usually place down a cargo container. And now we can have oxygen and warmth inside of the cockpit. It's not working right now because the ship doesn't have power. Then I usually just remove the bottom like that. And then I usually just kind of round out the fronts so that it looks a bit more visually appealing. Just like that. Yeah, I'm not really that good at designing ships. So then you just get a battery. If it's an ion ship, then you should put 2 batteries. And then possibly just a connector onto the back so that you can dock your ship and like recharge it and stuff. Then you just need a gyroscope. Usually if I'm using fighter cockpit, I'll just put it in the front and then cover it up in some way. So now we have a gyroscope, power, and O2 generator. Look, now the cockpit is warm and has oxygen. Now you have an almost functional ship. Now you just gotta build some armor for the exterior. I'll just build some and then make a time lapse. Alright, now I've made a basic exterior for the ship and some armor. It's not that strong, but it doesn't have to be. I've just put some armor panels on the top and bottom. Added some thicker armor on the vital components on the back. But now only one thing is missing, which is thrust. So that's what we're going to do now. A good way to add thrusters to an ion or atmospheric ship, because this tutorial works for both. It's pretty simple. I'll probably make a video on hydrogen ships. So what you want to do is, I mean, you don't have to do this, but you can just add like a thing that shoots off from the side of the ship. And then make like a little platform. And then on there, you can just attach your thrusters. And yeah, you can just be set on thrust. Then you just need your downwards thrust. And then of course your downwards thrust so you can actually fly the ship. Let's do it on the side like that. And now you just gotta like protect it with some armor. So that's what I'm gonna do now. Alright, I'm done. And now we just have a fully functioning ion ship. I mean, it should work at least. So, let's just hop in. After I go take the ship for a spin, I'll tell you about some extra modifications you can add. So yeah, we've got our thrust in all directions, of course. So that's left, right, up, down, forwards, backwards. We've got our oxygen inside of the cockpit. Which is useful. And of course we've got our thrusters on the back with armor and a connector. So now you can just configure your ship. So I'd recommend just setting your connector to switch lock. Now, what this does is, let's go fly down to that connector over there. Make sure not to crash into it. And then once you're right on, you just fly into it slowly. And then once it locks like this, you just click the button and now you're docked. And this will cause your batteries to recharge. And connectors also have conveyor ports, so if the connector is connected to a hydrogen tank, and there's a hydrogen tank on the station you're connected to, and it leads to the connector, you can get refueled. So now for some slight extra modifications you can add. You could add into the top. You could add a custom turret controller. And then add a rotor. And then just add a hinge. I need a small hinge. And then you just have to place your hinge on top of the rotor. And then you just add a camera on top of it. Make sure it's facing the right direction. Then you enter the terminal. You scroll down. Azimuth rotor, you just select your rotor. Then for the elevation rotor, you just select the hinge. Then for the camera, you just select the camera. You don't really have to mess with any of this. You don't have to mess with any of this either. And then once you're inside of the ship, you press G, and you type in custom turret controller. And you scroll down and click on control, and then when you press 2, you have a nice camera that you can move around the exterior of your ship. Now this is pretty useful for things like scouting out asteroids. See, look, I just randomly zoomed in on that asteroid. And look, you can just zoom in on asteroids and see if you can see any ore on those asteroids that you can mine. And I just randomly zoomed in on that asteroid, and there actually appears to be an ore patch on top of it. So yeah, and if you need a different angle, you can just rotate your ship. This is like a pretty useful modification to have. Just lets you look around a bit more. If you want, you can also add a Gatling gun onto your ship. Just like that. And then add a cargo container on the front or back. And then you can, so you can load the ammo in. And then you can just fire it. You can also, theoretically, you could attach the Gatling gun onto the hinge on your custom turret controller, and then you put a camera on top of it. And I'll just show you. So you get your custom turret controller, you get your rotor, you get your hinge, then your Gatling gun. So I'll just build an extra thing real quick so I can show you. You just grab the custom turret controller, and then rotor, and then your hinge, and then Gatling gun. Then just a small armor block. Then you grab your camera again. Make sure it's facing the right direction. And it's not facing the right direction, and the grid is floating away from me. Great. Then I just get a battery. I mean, I'm just building a small subgrid so it's easier to show you. Now you just enter the terminal. You go to azimuth rotor, you just select your rotor, then you do elevation rotor, you just select the hinge, then you do the camera, you need the camera. And then you press on Gatling gun, or whatever weapon you want to fire. Then you press add tool or weapon. Then you can enable if you want it to automatically aim and shoot targets by pressing enable AI, and this is the range that the AI will aim at. Then you can select things that it will aim to. And then where's the control button? There's a button that lets you control it somewhere. Oh, I'll just put a cockpit on top of this thing then. You just press control, now you can move around your Gatling gun. You can fire it at stuff. Now, since the ship doesn't have thrusters or gyroscopes, it'll start spinning, but you get the idea. So you can also just replace, where did I put it? Yeah, so you can also just replace your camera with that if you want. But the camera is more useful, I'd say, for early game or mid game, because you need mid game to get to space, of course. So yeah, you can also just add. Let's configure it. Oh wait. Forwards facing guns always work, you know? Okay, I can shoot at that pillar right there. I'm just, you know, shoot whatever you want. I'd recommend just using a Gatling gun to shoot down pirate drones. That's what they're mainly used for anyway. So yeah, I think I'm gonna end the video here. So please like, subscribe, and comment. See.